I think that the real ignorance is that many people don't realize the value and the worth of their vote. And that's one of the things that I'm really understanding this election, well, these past few elections, is that it really shouldn't be like I'm for Kamala or I'm for Trump. It should be you're for what you want. You should be for what you and your family need. You should be for what you think the country needs, and then you should pick who aligns with it. So the fact that people are more passionate about saying that they're for Kamala or for Trump for that matter and have no substance of why, that's ignorant. And what I have come across this go round is unfortunately the people who have said they support Kamala, that's all they can say. That's ignorant. And I don't get what's wrong with backpedaling and saying, let me figure out what makes the most sense for me. And then if it's Kamala, cool. I think a lot of people are afraid to do that because you might find that you don't want to vote for her. You might find that you don't want to roll with this party or that party. You might find that you've been in the.
That's not it. That's not why. I don't think it has anything to do. I think it has something to do with the fact that they don't want to be looked at as the outcast. They don't want to be looked at as the bad guy.
Oh, I definitely think I definitely think that could be that is a part of it as well. I definitely think so. And I'll do you one better. I was thinking that the other day when RFK said that he was gonna be with Donald Trump, which I'm so happy about. That helped my decision so much. Oh my God.
I know.
Anyway, like I was so excited.
I already knew.
So when I saw the clip of RFK at the Trump rally, and at the end he said, "Let's make America healthy again." So I was like, I'm gonna post that on my Facebook page and I'm gonna say, "Let's make America healthy again." And it took me a good 10 minutes to give myself permission to do it because I was like, what if somebody says something? What if somebody says something? I was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here saying this to myself. So I believe you. I believe it.
We are more.
And no Trump supporter has ever adequately answered when and how was America more healthy in the past, especially for our people.
That's a RFK slogan. That has nothing to do with Trump.
RFK.
Do you know who RFK is?
Do you know who he is?
RFK is that a
RFK
Ronald Reagan,
or
right? No, Kennedy. K is Kennedy. Robert Kennedy. Yeah.
He's the third
Robert Kennedy Jr.'s son. I mean, Robert Kennedy.
I know a little bit here and there. But I gotta do my research. Amen.
Queen,
it's K for
Kennedy. He had a good percentage of the vote until Biden dropped out, and then his campaign just tanked, kind of.
But let's let the grown folks talk for a second. When we start talking about having sex and stuff, y'all, we'll let the room 9 kids back in. So here's the thing, though. I think that. I'm sorry.
She was saying she recently put that in her status to make America healthy again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
RFK said that. RFK said that, and she resonates with RFK. If you know who RFK is, if you know who the Kennedys are, you know that's why she said when he said that it helped her to make her decision because if you know who the Kennedys were, they were quite qualified in these positions. But I would just like to say, Trigger, you're the very reason why I feel, and it's no shade to you. I like you as a human, but I really do think that you are just under the indoctrination.
What kind of human?
She's just don't ask me that.
NCLB.
No. What I'm saying is that the Democrats have a way of playing on our emotions, right? They know how to get us really riled up to make a decision. They're either they know that our hate for Trump is so great that it's enough to give them the vote without us asking any questions. And that's very, very dangerous. So while we're so much like, I'm just voting for Kamala because we don't like Trump, do we really know? They just asked you, What is it about Kamala that deserves your vote? You couldn't answer it. That's dangerous, babe. You got to know who you're voting for and why. And unfortunately, Kamala doesn't have a really good track record. She can't really be trusted. She has done a lot of egregious things, specifically within our community, that makes a lot of Black people say, I don't know about that one. Not to say that Trump is a better option. I think both sides are questionable. I think we should be asking very extensive questions on both sides. We should be asking what are the tangibles that they are planning to give out in exchange for our vote. But like every 4 years, when I sat here and watched the DNC, what I noticed was that they kept running. I noticed two things. I noticed every speaker had to trash talk Trump. And for me, it felt like dirty macking, right? Why do you have to do all of this trash talking to somebody else to convince me about what you're doing? For me, that's a little shady. The second thing that I noticed is they kept driving this whole idea of hope this and hope that. Wasn't that Obama's whole campaign? Right? So are you telling me since we got Obama in office and we hoped and we prayed and we did this, we're back at square one? What happened in between all this time? And why are we still hoping and praying just because what?
The
She's Black,
RNC?
she's a woman. What I'm saying is, no, what?
Did you watch the RNC?
I'm sorry?
Did you watch the RNC?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
I actually did not.
You didn't? Okay.
Why'd you ask that?
Well,
why'd you ask
you
that?
said there was a lot of bashing of Trump. It was no direct bashing of Trump, maybe talking about his policies and what he does and him as a person in an indirect way. But no one was doing name calling or anything like that. And these are common things that Trump does. Common things.
No, this, and that's all fine. But what I'm saying during the DNC, I don't need you to be cracking jokes, dragging Trump. I need to hear policy. I need to hear clear and direct communication on why you need my vote. And what I'm saying is that when I watched the DNC, it was like I saw actors, I saw entertainers. It was all, oh my God, look who's here. And
if you look it up, first day of the DNC, they mentioned Trump's name 147 times.
I'm telling you, and I watched the entire thing. And
I wonder how many times they mentioned Kamala.
Well, you just lied. You just lied and said they didn't do it.
The point is this:
it wasn't like Trump do it. I'm saying if you're gonna compare name calling and talking about the other party, it's a lot worse on the RNC side than it was on the DNC side.
Okay,
that's my point.
And granted, and you know what? And you're right, and you're absolutely right. Neither party should have to bash each other to convince the people for the vote. And that's why I say both parties are very questionable. Excuse me. We should be asking questions, but we should not be fear-based in our decision making, because then we're going to be voting for something and it's like a sheep's in wolf's clothing. Do we really know who we're trying to, take this seat? Do we really know? And you don't, Trigger. And that's really nerve-wracking, because you're all for Kamala, but you couldn't even answer why you felt like she deserved your vote. And then you also couldn't, you said, because I think it was Toya who said, why couldn't she do such and such when she was in that position? And you said she's just the VP. Well, there were a lot of policies passed, during her reign for specifically other marginalized groups in America specifically, right? If she can't do anything as a VP, how is she able to do those things, right? And if they can't do anything, what can they do, right? So again, why does she deserve our vote? Let us know,
the policies that the president was putting forth, which all VPs do.
You don't really have.
You said the policies
at this point, you're just being ignorant.
Vote for who you think works best for you, but I just think that's my point. And even speaking on this, because I'm kind of drained of this political things. But We cannot be fear-based in our decision making at all. We have to do the research. You need to know who she is, what her track record is and was, what she actually stands for before you just say, I'm gonna give her my vote, because that's going to keep us in the same position we've been in. If you haven't noticed, why is it that hope and keeping hope alive was the same campaign for Obama's campaign, and we're saying the same shit in 2024? What really, what really has changed? Why are
I
we
want
still
to
hoping?
address that
You know what I mean?
single part real fast. I did watch the DNC as well. And actually, hope was not brought up until Michelle and Obama start to speak. So, of course, they're going to refer back to their term when they're talking themselves and putting their support behind Kamala. They're like, oh, well, this is reminiscent of hope, like when we were running. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Michelle Obama's,
there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Okay.
They weren't saying hope the entire DNC. They didn't say hope, and to the people who had the slogan of hope got up to talk.
So how do you feel about Michelle Obama's speech? Like, what did you feel about that?
It was amazing.
How do you feel about her preaching that her mom was like, she looks down on people that take more than they need? How do you feel about that? Like her morals, like she thinks it's wrong. Her and her parents, they think it's horrible that people
take more than what you need.
Yes. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I support that.
She has 4 houses.
Yeah. So when you become a millionaire, you're gonna buy.
She's a hypocrite. That's what she was preaching about, is people taking more than they can need, and her shit was like low key racist too. No, you didn't listen.
In other words,
we don't get second chances. We don't get an elevator to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, because those are things that Trump gets, because guess what? He was born with
so it's racist. You should have just said white people. White people get
him a small loan of $1 million to start his business or whatever it was. More than most of us will ever have access to immediately from our parents, especially as Black people.
So let me ask you a question, because the Obama's children are the beneficiaries of their greatness. Their children has gone to the best schools that your children will never have access to. And they should. They should be blessed, and they should be the beneficiaries of their parents' greatness. 100%.
Absolutely.
Does that make you any less of a patriot? Because we all want our children to be better off than we are. We don't want our children to grow up the way we grew up. Even if we grew up in a decent household, we want our children to be better off than us. How is that a knock against you, or is that actually a blessing? Is that a benefit to say that you were raised in a strong household? And I'm not knocking anybody that wasn't, but then still overcame and became successful as a result of it. But how is that a knock on somebody because they were blessed with decent parents that ultimately gave them the best opportunities?
In these conversations, I like to ask, you guys know what nuance is?
Nigga, do you? No, that's probably a better question.
So, I say that to me.
I was a lifetime C student. I was a lifetime C student, but I went to regular school. Like, I was in a regular kid class.
So the point I'm making is when she says she doesn't like to take more than what they need, she's probably not talking about when you build your wealth and you buy what you want. She's more talking about people who are greedy, so then they take food out of people who are lower than them, or people who have businesses and they decide to pay their workers minimum wage and they're millionaires, not caring that they can barely feed themselves. Somebody who is greedy, not somebody who is buying what they can with the wealth that they have. I'm not even saying Trump is bad for being born into men. Absolutely not. But when you sit there and you have this type of confidence, this type of arrogance to look down on others who did not have the same opportunities, it's hypocritical on your part, because you didn't have to fight as hard as other people because you already had it given to you. You're not bad for already having given it to you, but you're bad for putting any type of judgment on anybody else who did not have that same opportunity, because for many people, especially people of our race, it was impossible for us to have that type of of wealth to start off with.
This
So you
hubris
look down
come
on
from
anybody because even though you have it, so it's like it's more of a complex discussion of what she was having. She wasn't just saying that, oh, he's a bad person because he's rich. It's more than that, and that's what nuance means. Is what's behind those words and the full meaning of it.
Yeah, what was behind her words was an attempt to pull. What was behind her words was her attempt to pull at people's heartstrings and to play into this whole notion of the middle class and the lower class, and to talk to people as if they can never elevate. So they have to be in this poverty poor mindset, because Michelle Obama, she's worth how much? $70 million. She's not. She's not hard.
Yeah, being
whatever
way
it
more
is.
than that.
She's not. And here's the other thing. How do you? Why are you saying that Trump looks down on people? I'm just curious. I'm not saying if he does or doesn't. I'm not saying if
people.
But
all of these single baby mamas that's out here still preaching that they need a step crash dummy. Listen, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being a single baby mama.
Yes, you are.
No. But
yes, you do.
You want
because there's context. There's extra nuance, like Trigger said.
Like Trigger said, for sure.
Yeah, there's extra nuance and context. The reasons why you became that way matter. If somebody was beating your ass or something like that, and you decided to get out of it, that make a difference. If you're a widow, that make a difference. If you learn from your mistakes, because a lot of times we can be held accountable, but then you decide that you want to do things the right way, then that makes a difference. All right. So the context.
But how did he? But
the point is that
she has
the
a
point
strong
is
stance.
that when I know that I'm better than people and they fucking up, I look down on them and I say, "You a piece of shit."
Okay, but she has a strong stance on that. So I'm just curious of how does he look down?
She don't got no strong stance. She just like to argue.